Fox 44 News is proud to bring you this special program, Honoring Black History, brought to you by Alliance Electrical Group.
Good evening and welcome to Fox 44's Honoring Black History special. I'm MG Montemayor.
And I'm Victoria Samuels.
For the next half hour, we'll share the stories of prominent African Americans who did more than make a difference.
They helped set new standards of success right here at home.
Black History Month is not a history lesson for you to cram for and forget. It's a running tab of talent, leadership, and grit that shows up in our neighborhoods, our schools, our businesses, and our church pews.
The men and women you're about to meet didn't wait for a spotlight. They taught, they served, they led, they built, and in doing so, they made this community stronger and better than they found it. Carter G. Woodson, known as the father of Black history, made sure it was never an afterthought.
Woodson founded Negro History Week in 1926 to highlight the achievements and contributions of African Americans that were largely left out of textbooks. A historian and author, he believed that understanding the past was key to building a stronger future.
That week-long observance grew into Black History Month, now celebrated every February across the United States. Woodson's mission was simple but powerful: tell the full story of America, including the chapters that too often went untold.
Waco is a place where community still means something, where connections are made face-to-face, not just name tag to name tag. And tonight, we're introducing you to a woman who didn't wait to be invited in. She showed up, listened, and went to work.
Camille Wilder came to Texas looking for purpose and found a community that let her put it to work. She moved here in 1997 and spent 2 decades in the nonprofit world, and after her husband earned his doctorate, they made a decision to trade the sprawl of Fort Worth for something smaller.
That's right, and in 2017, they landed in Waco when he accepted a teaching position at Tarleton State University, searching for connection, not congestion.
Wilder studied mass media communications with a focus on broadcast journalism at Oral Roberts University, but her career path took her into nonprofit marketing and communications. She started as an editorial assistant, worked her way into an assistant editor role, and learned early that the work only matters if people trust you. That challenge grew when she arrived in Waco, new to the city and unknown to many of the organizations she hoped to serve.
It's a matter of trust. And also that I am here to serve and listen and collaborate, and how can we work together.
After arriving to Waco, Wilder didn't wait for connections to find her. In her first week, she stepped completely out of her comfort zone and attended a Waco Moms blog Moms Night Out without knowing a single person in the room.
I met one of my dear friends, she introduced me to other people, and then that's how a lot of connections happened. And then through one of my friends who I connected with, I found out about the position at Baylor. And she said, this is what you do. You're involved in the community already. It's just an extension of that.
For Wilder, that community connection turned into purposeful work. She says representation matters, and she takes pride in serving and supporting diverse communities across Central Texas.
We've done work with the Centex African American Chamber, Hispanic Leaders Network, Asian Leaders Network, the Centex Hispanic Chamber, I think I said that, and the African American Chamber. So it's tremendous work. It's an honor to be able to do that.
She believes Waco's size actually creates opportunity, opening doors that might stay closed in a larger city.
I'm able to serve on boards. I've met amazing people, opportunities that I never would have had probably in Fort Worth just because of the sheer size of it.
As she became more involved, Wilder says she's also gained a deeper appreciation for the city's history, especially its Black history.
I mean, Doris Miller, Paul Quinn campus, the new memorial to enslaved persons on the Baylor campus. And it's incredible to see those things and know that Black history is being honored. And we need to continue to share that history. And it's not just past, it's also now.
Wilder says her hope is simple, that the Waco community sees her as a genuine people first and someone who shows up ready to listen, work, and serve.
Coming up, a woman who started as a CNA, worked her way into leadership, and is now making history in Waco as the first Black president in the 90-plus year history of the Junior League of Waco.
Welcome back to Honoring Black History, brought to you by Alliance Electrical Group.
Leadership doesn't always come with a title. Sometimes it starts with rolling up your sleeves.
Tonight we introduce you to a Waco native who went from Waco ISD classrooms to making history in one of the city's most established organizations.
Bronda Hayes is the first Black president in the more than 90-year history of the Junior League of Waco.
And she's proving that servant leadership is more than a buzzword, it's a way of life.
Meet Bronda Hayes. Bronda is one of 4 girls raised by a single mom right here in Waco and making her mark in history as a servant leader.
I'm actually the first Black president of Junior League of Waco. I am a product of Waco ISD. I was on the dance team, and so the Scarlet Line. I have lots of friends who are on there with me that I'm still friends with now.
Hayes spent a majority of her career working in healthcare. She started her career as a CNA, then worked her way into medical administration, working for a time as a community liaison for a hospice organization before becoming the Central Texas Regional Director for Unbound Now Waco. You might think that being the regional director of an organization that fights human trafficking across 2 states would be all that one person could handle. But in her quest to serve her community and lead it to be its best, Bronda Hayes has found the time to become an integral part of the Junior League of Waco.
Yeah, the way I really got involved in Junior League is a friend of mine who was already a part of Junior League invited me to an interest meeting, and I was kind of like, I don't really have time to do one more thing, so what do I do? I was like, I'll go to the interest meeting, but I'm not going to promise you that I'm going to join.
That interest meeting was all it took. Once Hayes became aware of the Junior League's mission to serve the community, not only financially, but with time and hard work, she knew she had to be a part of the organization, an organization that she would come to lead and become a history-making member of, as Bronda Hayes is the first Black woman to fill the seat as president of the Junior League of Waco since it began over 90 years ago.
Being first at anything brings great responsibility. So I was pretty nervous. I was just like, what is this going to look like? Am I going to be accepted? How will people respond? And my theme for my term as president is the League Reimagined. So we're reimagining how we do things, like how we serve the community, what that looks like, and a new face.
Hayes speaks fondly of all that she has learned while serving with the Junior League. But what's the legacy that she hopes to leave behind?
I'm a servant leader. Like, I jump in, I'm rolling up my sleeves, I'm doing everything. I'm not just walking around the president with a crown on saying that, that this is, I'm the president, but I am at our service projects, I'm doing the heavy lifting, and always show up as a servant leader when you are leading things, and also always say yes to leadership. Don't say no. Someone else may see something in you that you may not see in yourself. So always say yes to leadership and always be teachable.
Hayes says her goal is simple: lead by serving and make sure the door stays open for the next woman who walks through it. In a community that shaped her, she's now helping shape its future.
And if her message sounds familiar, say yes to leadership, stay teachable, and do the work. That's not just advice, that's a blueprint.
14 years ago, Jarvis Parsons was elected to be the new district attorney for Brazos County. Since then, he's made the DA's office uniquely his.
Welcome back to Honoring Black History, brought to you by Alliance Electrical Group.
For nearly 30 years, the Brazos County District Attorney's Office was held by Bill Turner, a man known as a bit of a legend in the Texas legal world and who obviously left a huge pair of shoes to fill.
Shoes that have been filled for the past 13 years by Jarvis Parsons, a man who has risen to the occasion and begun a new chapter at the DA's office.
Meet Jarvis Parsons. He's been with the DA's office since 2002 when he was hired by previous district attorney Bill Turner. For 10 years, he learned from the best until Turner announced he wasn't running for re-election in 2012 and endorsed Parsons to take his spot, a spot that Parsons has held for 4 consecutive terms. One of the last and probably most important lessons Turner taught Parsons was when he was officially taking over the reins from Turner. He said he wanted to hold on to the idea of what would Bill do.
And he looked at me and he said, "Jarvis, that's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard in my life." And he said, "The people elected you to do what you thought was right, not what I thought was right."
And that idea has molded Parsons' time in office. Flash forward 13 years later, and the DA's office is uniquely his. He's made cracking down on domestic violence and sexual assault a primary focus. He's been awarded numerous times, including Texas Prosecutor of the Year in 2019. And he's built up a team, or better yet, a family, at the office who believe in him and the direction he's carrying them. Family is something that's very close to Parsons' heart, whether it's his district attorney family, or his college sweetheart and their daughter, or his family back home in Louisiana. For Parsons, growing up in Louisiana with parents who fought to even be able to go to the same school as the white kids in the area, it isn't lost on him that he's standing on the shoulders of people who couldn't imagine how far black professionals like him have made it.
For my parents or my grandparents or so many black people, their kids were expected to rise and go further than what they could ever see because it was never there to begin with. And so now it's more normal to be a prosecutor. It's more normal to be an elected official. It's more normal to be a president of color because you can see it.
And he hopes to be the shoulders that his daughter stands on to be the next generation to achieve greatness. Parsons isn't an Aggie, he isn't a Texan, and he sure isn't your average district attorney. And yet he seems to fit in perfectly to his role at the Brazos County Courthouse.
During a short visit with Jarvis Parsons, one thing stood out quickly. The people who call him boss, friend, or prosecutor clearly respect and admire him.
Well, she didn't wear a spacesuit, but she helped send astronauts into space. Katherine Johnson used a pencil, a stack of numbers, and a brain built for trajectories to help NASA make history. At a time when barriers stood higher than any rocket, she calculated a path straight through them.
Katherine Johnson was born in 1918 in West Virginia and showed extraordinary math skills early, entering college at just 15. She joined NASA's predecessor agency as a human computer hand calculating complex flight paths before digital computers were fully trusted.
Her numbers helped put Alan Shepard into space. And when John Glenn prepared to orbit Earth, he asked that Johnson verify the computer's work before he would lift off.
She also helped calculate trajectories for the Apollo missions, including the flight that landed astronauts on the moon and brought them home safely.
In an era of segregation and limited opportunity, Johnson broke barriers in science, technology, engineering, and math, opening doors for future generations. Katherine Johnson did more than crunch numbers. She changed who got to sit at the table and who got credit for moving the world forward.
In Black history, her story shows what happens when talents meet opportunity. In human history, it proves sometimes the most powerful force on Earth is a calculation done right. Healthcare isn't just white coats and stethoscopes, it's strategy, leadership, and the people making sure the whole system actually works.
Coming up, the Temple executive helping shape the future of children's health in Texas and how she's living out a Dr. King message about always moving forward.
Welcome back to Honoring Black History, brought to you by Alliance Electrical Group.
When people think of healthcare, their first thought is doctors and nurses. But what about those who work behind the scenes, like administration? Healthcare administrators focus on improving the healthcare experience, the scheduling of staff, opening new facilities, and so much more. And the city of Temple is home to one of the brightest healthcare execs in all of Texas. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, quote, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward."
And Dell Ingram Walker, the president of Baylor Scott and White's McLean Children's Medical Center, is the embodiment of that quote.
Dell's journey begins in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Nicknamed Titletown, they weren't aware that they had a champion of healthcare. But to Dell, she was just joining the family business.
Most of the women in my family were either nurses or educators. So I knew that I would go into one of those fields, the healthcare field, when I was young.
After graduating from the University of Alabama, Dell found her way to Texas through an internship with Baylor Scott and White. From there, she parlayed herself into a full-time position as a financial analyst in pediatrics. And with her problem-solving skills, she naturally ascended the ranks.
When we are faced with opportunities, I love analyzing, I love solving problems. And so being able to solve problems and being able to have impact was the perfect role for me.
Being named the first Black vice president, COO, and now the president of McLean Children's Medical Center, it has been an amazing honor for Dell. but it hasn't come without its bumps in the road.
I did face challenges when I was growing up, when I was younger in my career. It wasn't necessarily from my bosses or people higher than me. It was really with colleagues that worked alongside me. From that point on, a long time ago, I've always, in my career, just made sure I focused on the things that I needed to. So focused on making sure that I was doing the best job that I could do. Also bringing up others behind me.
Her focus on others has poured her efforts into community service, being an active member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Jack and Jill, and the National Association of Health Service Executives.
Some of the work that I do here spills over into the other organizations that I'm a part of, and most of the organizations are service-minded. So what can we do? How can we educate? How can we help?
Whether it was creating an innovative drive-through flu clinic in 3 weeks during the Ebola virus outbreak, partnering with the city of Killeen to start a family food and fun program, or upgrading the NICU to be one of the best between Austin and Dallas, the mentality was the same.
How do we make it better? How do we make it bigger? How do we impact more people? So I'm always looking for ways to elevate.
Despite trailblazing to such a high position, Mrs. Dell Ingram Walker wants her legacy to stretch beyond the accolades.
Positive impact, and that I made a difference. And that is something, honestly, that everybody can.
Dell Ingram Walker is a mother, a wife, and a community pillar in Central Texas for over 25 years.
She proves that anyone can achieve new heights as long as they strive for more.
From the legacy of Waco's first elected Black female mayor to a new era of innovation, Mayor Pro Tem Andrea Barefield is transforming her family's history into a future for the next generation. Join us as we honor a leader who builds on the foundations of the past.
Welcome back to Honoring Black History, brought to you by Alliance Electrical Group.
In Central Texas and the Brazos Valley, leadership isn't a title. For some, like City of Waco Mayor Pro Tem Andrea Barefield, it's the legacy.
From a foundation of deep-rooted local heritage, academic excellence, and blazing new paths to honor Black history now and into the future.
I'm a native Wacoan. I was born and raised in this area.
And it all started when she was very young, starting with family. The daughter of May and Howard Jackson, both prominent Wacoans.
My dad was an amazing human, loved this community. He's from here, heavily involved in Carver Park. He was a deacon, sang in the choir. He created a community garden, all kinds of things. Loved his church, loved his community.
Her mom, May Jackson, her name displayed here in downtown. Just part of her legacy.
May Jackson was the first elected African-American mayor for the city of Waco. And myself, along with my brothers and sisters, we just are honored to be able to be a part of her legacy. They're not big shoes to fill because those were her shoes. Sure. Now, what she did was made a path for all of us.
I'm so grateful that you are here.
Andrea carrying on part of that legacy at the recent opening of the Bledsoe Miller STEAM Center, an innovative and interactive venture centered around science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
2, 1.
Impactful and colorful, and just the beginning of the legacy she carries on as Waco's Mayor Pro Tem and City Councilwoman representing District 1. An agent of vision with abundant evidence in her district, and being an agent of change to help honor Black history, to honor her city, and honor the legacy she continues to build.
Being change agents doesn't have to be spectacular. I think it just has to be you. When we opened the Doris Miller Memorial several years ago, I was speaking and I said, I don't know that Doris got up that day with the intention to be a hero. He got up that day to go to work. Now, what that work was, changed the course of this country. So that came from who he was, inside. You know, that came from how he was built.
When a community invests boldly in people at every stage of life.
Building on that kind of legacy, with her commitment to education, family, and community, Andrea stands strong on how honoring history impacts her.
To be clear, honoring African American history is just understanding that African Americans exist in history. Foundationally, everything that we see and touch and engage has a piece of African American history on it. I'm a big fan that big believer in children can only be what they see. And so we need to make sure that our next generation are seeing the things that will project them on to be better Wacoans, to be better Texans, to be better residents of this great country.
Legacies don't just live on buildings or signs. They live in people who keep showing up.
For Andrea Jackson, that legacy started at home with parents who served this community, and it continues today in her work for District 1.
She's not filling anyone's shoes. She's walking a path they helped clear and making it wider for the next generation.
In Waco, honoring history isn't just about the past, it's about what you build next.
And tonight we shared stories of leadership, service, and determination.
Black history is not separate from our history, it's our story.